Today I'm in southwest Michigan exploring the Chipman Preserve. This 228-acre preserve features 6 miles of trails through several habitats: savanna, forest, and grassland. I understand the lupine are currently in bloom, so let's go take a look. If you're looking for a map of the trails, you can download it from an app, or you can follow the handy signs that are posted throughout the preserve. As I'm walking along one of the main trails throughout the preserve, look what I found, the lupine. I don't know about you, but I get really geeked about stuff like this. Budding of new growth. Look at these teeny tiny little leaves. So this is something that I like to photograph just because it shows the new growth, something delicate that's going to change and grow over time. And I like the contrast to the new and the colorful against the woody background. So this can either be in color or it can be in black and white. You've got some little droplets of moisture on some of the leaves too. You can also do it in contrast to the cluster of dead leaves in the background as well. I don't know what kind of tree this is, but I love how twisted and drapey and tangled these branches look. The texture just really pops out on this, not only of the individual branches, but then overall as the tree itself. It just looks like a really scary looking tree, but it's still alive. Look, there's buds on the ends. So for me, this is a really interesting contrast and textures and color, even though I'll probably shoot it in black and white. So here's a little tree that I'd like to photograph. So let's talk about composition. Now if you'll notice, there's trees behind it. So what I've already done in this shot is to frame it up so that the tree that I really want to photograph is in that open area between the trees. So the trees in the background, there's a kind of a gap there. So my tree in the foreground will show up a little bit better. But if I just center it like this, it really doesn't invite for further looking. It's not really interesting. What you want to do is think about the rule of thirds. And the rule of thirds is kind of like a graph in form of a tic-tac-toe game. So you have 2 lines vertical, 2 lines horizontal. And a great composition puts the subject of interest on one of those lines, and even the intersecting lines. So like I have it off to the right, so that's going to be on the far right line. You can also do it like this, so it's off to the left. I can also do a vertical shot of it, but again, I'm going to put it off to the side, and therefore it's going to balance the composition. So you're going to have the heaviness, the denseness of the trees behind it, balancing the openness of what this tree represents. I didn't get very far today, and look what I found. Today's Tom tree. Look at this guy. Full of twisted limbs, character, texture, even a big knot hole in the top. Reminds me of the trees featured in Bill Peet books. Little critters can live anywhere they want in this tree. So I'm going to circle around it and see what I can come up with in terms of pictures of the limbs, of the tree itself. might have noticed that I'm shooting a lot of color today, and that's because it's very cloudy out, and infrared photography does not work well with clouds. So I'm relying on my color photographs, but I'm taking some infrared. We'll see how they turn out. In the meantime, I'm looking for things in color. So I'm in the rolling pines area of the preserve, and I came across these sentry-looking pillars of trees flanking the pathway. So we talked about rule of thirds earlier. So here's a good one. How do you take a picture of this and follow the rule of thirds? Because if I stand right here in the center of the path, that's center of everything. Now, obviously I'm going to make it a vertical shot to elongate the trees and make it look taller and include that length, but I want to also move off to the side so that the path, the leading line of the path, goes off at an angle. And then that also helps your eye travel back further. But we're just to go to the center. Once you got to the center of the image, you're done looking. But if you use the leading lines and if you use the rule of thirds, then the eye is going to travel back further into your image to one side or the other. You're going to present more of the image to your viewers, and your viewers are going to be more interested in looking at your image more often than just once. So I came upon this open area, and I'd like to photograph it just as part of the preserve and showing what it's all about. But I just have an open area. There's, some trees here, but pretty much flat horizon line, and the clouds are too overcast to give any interest up in the sky. So let me show you what else you can do. So now I moved off to the side, went further down the path, and look what I came across. This beautiful little vista area. So it frames the shot, frames the landscape behind it. It gives some character to the image. It gives somewhere for the eye to look other than just the horizon line. And this wonderful little tree or plant in the foreground, I'm just going to scoot down a little bit more just to get that a little bit more backlit. I love the shading. Look at all the different shading that you have. You have some shadows, you have some lighter areas. So if you just wander about a little bit and scout out your area, you may come across something better. So here's another really good example using the rule of thirds and leading lines. So I've got another path that curves around into the background, and I've got this tree off to the left. So I want to keep that to the left. I also want that path to maybe not be as centrally located as I have it. So I'm going to back up a little bit, go off to an angle, looking to keep that tree in the left side. Maybe I'm going to go way over on this side. Now there's some balance because the tree is on the left and the path is on the right. The path goes off way in the back and you don't know where it goes, but it leads your eye back there, and you have the balance of the dark trunk against the lighter tan of the path. And then you also got these branches coming in at the top that frames your shot a little bit more too. So it's just a more balanced composition. The Chipman Preserve is one of 18 public preserves managed by the Southwest Michigan Land Conservancy. To read the story about this preserve, you can go to their website at swmlc.org. Thanks for exploring with me. Thanks for watching my video. I hope you liked it and learned something new. If you did, consider subscribing to my channel and getting notified when a new video posts. And I hope to see you out on the trails.